The concept of deploying attacking fullbacks isn't a new concept. Playing with an attack-minded fullback allows the winger or wide midfielders to move inside and attack more directly towards goal. The modern fullback is a wide defender who, as well as defending, they are also responsible for joining attacks. The history dates back to the early 20th century. In today's game, it has evolved from traditional defending to playmaking. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I'm trying out a new concept of filming, and so I've decided to do voiceovers. I'm trying to elevate my content to tell me how much you guys like it, and let's get into the video. If I'm going to be talking about attacking fullbacks, then I have to give a breakdown history. It was created by Gustav Sebes, a Hungarian genius who created the 4-2-4 diamond-shaped formation, which is heavily used today. During the 1950s, he was responsible for the success of the Hungarian national team during a time where England, Brazil, and Italy were countries known for the fundamentals of football. He used Ferenc Puskás, who would become an icon and the inspiration for the Puskás Awards, alongside Budaj as overlapping fullbacks who played as wingers and go on to do legendary things. Gustav's idea, however, would be popularized by another legend, Vicente Feola, who heavily used it in a back four. More popular and noticeable use of it would see Brazil winning the 1958 World Cup by using Nilton and Santos as attacking fullbacks. It developed over the various decades and changed the role of fullbacks from sitting behind the ball, only defending wingers, and being sweepers to becoming essential parts of teams. Great examples are such as Dani Alves, one of the most decorated right backs of his generation. He has an illustrious career, insane talent, and also a leader on the pitch. Even today, he's still in his prime, you can say. Roberto Carlos, most of this generation's muse, his wonderful free kicks, his time as a defender, and also his legacy. Cafu, his partnership with Carlos in a back three was amazing, and it went on to allow Brazil to win another World Cup. He also sits in the legendary status. Phillip Lahm, phenomenal character and legendary players during his time as a midfielder and also as a defender. How can I even talk about attacking fullbacks without mentioning Ashley Cole, England's best left back, great defender who was always resolute and strong, also scored amazing goals during his time. I know it's crazy building a list like this for defenders when comparisons were always sparked by attackers who had the statistics to back them up. However, I think it's fun, and this idea stemmed from the constant debate around Trent versus Reece every week whenever they had good games. And in today's video, I'll be ranking my favorite and who I think are the best right backs of today's generation. Starting at number 10, the man in the title. He's not necessarily in the top 10, but I've just mentioned his name for the views and the clickbait. But I do think he's not an awful defender or bad or, but he has points to his game where I love. What I do think he needs to, improve on in is his first touch, his dribbling, and also his last man ditch defending, because sometimes he gets spun a lot by opposition. So he makes the list only because of that. At number 9, I have Lorenzo. Watching him in the Napoli side, he is one of the staple pieces of the team. He makes up the team, not only this season with Napoli's inspired run, but also last season he put up great defensive and attacking numbers, and he makes the list because of his consistency. Coming in at number 8, I have Carvajal. I do think he's one of the most underrated on this list, and he does deserve to be appreciated more because of his work rate. Defensively, he's very strong. He reminds you of the earlier defenders who weren't afraid to get down and dirty, and he does his job very well. Also, going forward, he is a sight to watch. I do wish he would improve on his speed because he's not the fastest player around, and he has been caught out many times by fast players. Coming at number 7, it has to be Hakimi. He would have been higher on this list 2 or 3 seasons ago because of his recent dip in form at Paris Saint-Germain. He comes in at number 7. His time at Dortmund, Real Madrid, and Inter, he was an exceptional player. Defensively, he always got it right. His physicality also helped him a lot, and also his IQ and awareness. His time at Inter, he saw his partnership with Romelu Lukaku and how much he serviced and, joined in on attacks down the counter attacking football that Antonio Conte played. I loved him then, and he was exceptional. However, his time at Paris has not been the best defensively nor attackingly, so he sits low on the list for me. At number 6 is Kieran Trippier, and I do think he's one of my favorite players on this entire list. While I didn't watch him consistently at Atletico Madrid, the few games I did watch, he was defensively resolute, and that is because of the formation and the style of football that Diego Simeone played. And I was extremely excited hearing that he would be going to Newcastle, and at Newcastle I knew that he would get the highlight and the recognition he deserves, and so proved, because his time so far at Newcastle, he has been their anchor at the back. Going forward as well, he is immensely phenomenal. He adds so much into their attacks. He also drops sometimes into the midfield, and he's just an exceptional player. Not to mention, he has been the best performing player in my FPL. Coming in at number 5 is Kyle Walker, and I'm throwing this out here. Kyle Walker is England's and Manchester City's best defender. He is the definition of what a defender is to be like. He is great in the back, and he does his job well. Going forward, while I do think in previous years he's not been the best, that's why his name has been left out of conversations, because he's not been always going forward. But there are memories of him being great in free kicks and assisting and big moments and iconic moments, and he has contributed. The only improvements I do see for Kyle is his injury record. He's not the best. That's why I do think he's left out of conversations, because of his, alarming injury list, and the injury is a concern. Before I reveal my top 4, here are honourable mentions of players who don't necessarily meet the top 10, but they're still great in their own right. Benjamin Pavard. Now, I do see a lot of people saying he has not done anything great since the 2018 World Cup, and I disagree. His time at Bayern may not be the most luxurious or most show-stopping moments, but he has gotten better over the years, and he has been putting decent performances defensively and attackingly. I think he is one of the best free kick takers of a defender, and that is always great to watch from him. Improvements he has made, which I had an issue years ago with his physicality, and he has changed that immensely at Bayern, so I am proud of him there. Diego Dalot, while I haven't been his best supporter or a fan of his game, I do think now in the Erik ten Hag era, he has become a staple in the Manchester United side, and he has been doing well in Europa and also in the Premier League, and his performances has only gotten better and better every time. Next up is Tomiyasu. He doesn't make the top 10 because of his injury records. If people are not watching you, they're not talking about you, but I had to talk about him. The start of his Arsenal career, he is immense. He was just getting in there, doing all the work that should have been done. He has looked great on several occasions. While sometimes he may have bad games, I won't hold him accountable for that. I do wish going forward he'd offer more, but again, he's a defender, not his job, so I'm not holding him towards that, and he is a good player that I had to mention. Last but definitely not least, Cesar Azpilicueta. Now, while he is not one of the most memorable defenders, and he's not one of the most strongest players and the most, forward-putting player, but I do think he has worked extremely hard during that Antonio Conte season and Thomas Tuchel's reigns at Chelsea, and deployed in that attacking role, he has done immensely well. Though sometimes defensively he has been caught out, and I do think that's upon age and not intelligence. Can't hold that against him. He is a cult hero, I would say, more than a legend. Coming in at number 4, it has to be Perisic. Where do I even begin with him? His talent speaks for itself. Defensively, he does what needs to be done. He is intelligent in that regard. Going forward, I think it's his best attribute. The attacking part of him, is the highlights of his career. He has scored iconic and monumental goals. He has been a part of some of the world's best teams, and he has just done everything that you can think of a player of his regime to do. Coming in at number 3 3, I have Cancelo. Now, Cancelo doesn't go low on this list because I do see the talent, and it doesn't go higher because he's not the best defensively. Defensively, I do think he needs to improve on his awareness and his ability to, stay strong on and man mark his opponents. Because I do think that is his weakness. Some of the times getting caught out, not being aware of what's going on, being afraid of putting his foot down, and being a defensively resolute player. At number 2, we have Trent. Trent makes number 2 because he'll always be, for me, the second best, which is nothing is wrong with that. And it has nothing to do with his recent dip in form at Liverpool, because I can acknowledge the hard work he has been putting in since he was 19 years of age. I think he has been one of the most exciting players to watch over the years. He has always been one of the most successive players over the years, through all he has achieved. And he is just a talented player. I cannot deny that. While I do accept that his crosses, his dribbling, his long shots are immensely well, his free kicks are just of angelic behavior. Like, I can give him credit for that. There are shorts in his game as a defender where he, at almost every point in time, is never marking his man, is never aware of what's going on. And I do think that's a big improvement. I don't know whether Klopp would want to enforce him as a midfielder or a right wing back. I don't know what the change should be. And if you guys know the change, please leave the comments down below. I do think there are improvements to be made, but nonetheless, he is phenomenal. He is a good player, and he is 10 times better than a lot of the players below him. So I do think this ranking is fair. Coming in at number 1, of course, it has to be Reece James. He is the best right back of today's generation. He is all rounded in his game. He is defensively resolute. He is strong. He is very, very aware of what's going on. He's not afraid to challenge. He has silenced some of the best wingers in the games. Some of the best strikers love and adore him. I do think his rivals adore him, his peers, his idols. He is just respected all round. Going forward, he has goals and assists against some of the best teams in the Premier League, best teams in Europe. He's always showing up. It is a rare occasion for Reece James to have a bad game. While I do admit that there's times when he does seem out of it, 99 out of 100 times he is amazing. I think he's going to be studied in schools. He's going to be a generational player that once in a lifetime. And the fact that he's Chelsea's best player and he's a defender says a lot. He has been amazing throughout his entire career under many different managers, and he has always been this player. He's never showed a sign of slowing down. However, his slowdown is because of his injury, but otherwise from that going forward, great. Assisting, great. Scoring goals, great. Wonder goals. I think he scored some of the best goals for Chelsea last 2 seasons. Defensively, he's not afraid of a challenge. So yes, he makes number 1. That concludes my top 10. I hope you guys disagree, agree, whatever it may be, in the comments, and just share your ideas, share your thoughts, share whatever you thought of this video. Thank you guys so much for the support. It means a lot, and I'll see you in my next video.